Guys, I'm happy to have this conversation here with a journalist, documentarian, and storm chaser, and it's because of his content, his footage, that provided so much assistance in terms of information gathering for Hurricane Beryl on the island of Carriacou. We're happy now to have Mr. Jonathan Petramala. I hope
You
I'm
nailed
getting
it.
that right.
You did a good job. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. Jonathan, first of all, I have to thank you. I have to thank you because it's because of you were able to be on the ground and tell the story of what happened in Carriacou on that particular day. How? Tell us about what were you doing in Carriacou at that point in time in the first place?
This was a hard hurricane. This is what I do for a living. We track severe weather like this: hurricanes, blizzards, earthquakes, you name it, we do it. So, a couple of days before we saw the potential of this disaster unfolding, long before people were really talking about it on the news, and we made a decision. We're independent journalists.
Okay.
Myself and WX Chasing Brandon Clement, we're independent. So we decided to pull the trigger, pay for a ticket to get here to Grenada, and then we arrived Saturday morning. So 2 days before landfall. But then we have to make a decision. Where's the storm going to go? You can imagine it's the main impacts are right around the eye of the hurricane. That's where the
Ex-
strongest winds are, just like what happened in Carriacou. So we have to make a decision. Is the center of the storm going to go over this island or this island? And it's hundreds of miles away at that point. But we had a really good idea that it's going to go to Carriacou. We know better than anyone else what a hurricane is going to do to an island, especially a major hurricane like Beryl. But we also know that if we aren't there with our equipment and our abilities as journalists, there's not going to be a voice for that island for days after this hurricane. So we made the decision to fly to Carriacou. We arrived Sunday afternoon. We went around the island as quickly as we could. We had to buy supplies because we couldn't carry supplies on the airplane. So we bought a little water. I bought some Skittles, and that was our supply.
Wow.
And we went around the island to document the last minutes of what you're going to see behind me: green trees, leaves, houses with roofs on them. We knew that within just a few hours, everything was going to change in every direction we were looking. So then Monday comes around and Beryl arrives.
Tell us about the changes that you observed. So exactly were you staying?
We were in Hillsborough, Hotel Arena, I believe it's called, there in Hillsborough. Um, our driver, the first person we met on the island, a man named Robert. I'm sure a lot of people know who I'm talking about, a great man. And he recommended the hotel for us because we hadn't made a reservation even for the hotel. And
Okay.
so he took us to the hotel, he took us around to get supplies, and we were able to drive around to um, capture, again, the island before disaster and catastrophe struck.
Right, right. So tell us about what happened. Tell us when things started to get progressively worse
The
from your
worst,
perspective.
yeah, the worst of it happened around mid morning yesterday. Or I'm sorry, on Monday. Mid morning
Monday.
on Monday. I get
Yeah.
the days confused at this point, but mid morning on Monday. That's really when the winds were at their worst. I was on the patio on the second floor, and I was shooting to the east. So the east is where the hurricane was coming in. And at first, you could see the hill, and then slowly but surely, you couldn't even see across the street. That's how strong the winds were, blowing that whiteout rain. Debris was flying everywhere. And right at the peak of the hurricane, around 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning, I saw a giant palm tree snap in front of me, fall on top of a roof. I saw giant pieces of roof fly over my head as I'm recording. At the moment, I didn't even know that that was our roof until I turn around and I open the door to get inside because it was getting a little bit even intense for me. And then I look up and we didn't have a roof in our hotel.
It
So
was not early. It was before. It was at 11 around that time. I mean, the eye of the storm passed through like about 11:30 thereof. Around that time. So way before that time, your roof what flew out.
it was the first part of the eye wall. You're going to have to second guess my timing because again,
Yeah,
I have a lot of things going. I wasn't looking
I
at my
understand.
watch.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah.
more looking at the damage, but it was around that time. The front part of the eye wall, our roof went away. It flew completely over. I didn't know again that it was our roof until I walked inside and saw most of it missing. It was intense because you can imagine you're standing in the middle of it was close to a Category 5 hurricane. and you're looking up and you have no protection above you, and you still have the danger of the roof collapsing on top of you. So we took shelter underneath the door frame of our hotel room. We tried to make it to the front door to open the front door and try to escape to a lower floor, but we couldn't open it because of the air pressure. It was impossible for a big guy like me and my partner to even have a chance to open. So we ended up going into a closet and sitting in a closet for 15, 20 minutes or so until the sky started to brighten just like it is right now.
Right.
As the eye came over and that calmer winds appeared. So we were able to finally get the door open and run down to a lower floor hotel room. The eye was very calm. It was just it's like I'm standing here right now. No wind, no rain. You could even see blue sky up through the eye.
Wow, wow. So first part of the storm more difficult than the second half after the eye
Not
from
in
your
no, not in this hurricane. So you can imagine how a hurricane works. It's the winds are going in a circle, right, like a cyclone. So
yes.
the wind direction changes, especially when you're in the eye and you're in that inner core. So my best analogy is like a stick. When you bend a stick one way and then you bend it back the other way, it snaps. And that's
Right.
what happened to so many houses and properties on the island. They survived maybe the first half. There were a lot of homes that were just destroyed and damaged in the first half, but the second half of the storm was the worst. Immediately as the back half of that eye wall came through the town of Hillsborough and the island of Carriacou, everything was flying in all directions immediately. Roofs being ripped off left and right, trees snapping, power lines going down. That was the worst part of the storm for the island of Carriacou, was the back eye.
Wow. So tell us, after it was all said and done and you were able to get out and look, tell us what you saw.
It's a catastrophe in 360 degrees. Nothing that we went to bed looking at existed after that high passed us and the storm moved off into the Caribbean. Um, the roads are impassable. There's power lines, there's power poles, there's trees, there's roofs like our roof sitting in the street. And of course, everyone is walking around in utter shock and dismay because many folks have never been through the eye of a major hurricane like this. And so it was a shocking experience. And my job, I can show you the video. I'll shoot the video and I'll show the chaos and I'll show the damage. But I find it the most important thing of that I do and what I bring is to share the stories. And so I immediately started to go walk around and share the stories of the people most impacted. That's why I haven't shown the video of our experience yet. It's
Right.
because the story wasn't about us. The
Right.
story
True.
is about the people, and the story is about what they're going through. They're going to have to live with this for years. This isn't, oh, it's going to be okay in a couple of weeks. This is a years long recovery. It's going to just take a long time for people to recover. People are, this is a very agricultural island. So, people are losing their homes, they're losing their businesses. And then in some cases, unfortunately, they're losing their animals too, because there's no place on the island for the animals, the sheep, the goats, the cattle to go. So you can imagine just the struggles people are dealing with. Fishermen losing their boats. Uh, Tourists are not going to have a place to stay. So that industry is going to be decimated. My fear is that it's going to get too hard and they're going to lose that community because it's one of the most special places I've ever visited in terms of just the kindness and welcomeness and warmness of the people that I've talked to. If you watch my videos on my YouTube channel, Jonathan Petramala, you can see the warmth that they exude, the smiles on their face, even though they're standing next to their house that no longer exists.
Yeah, I saw you did an interview where you were asking some of the folks about their smiles on their face, and they were saying, they'll get over this. And Grenadian and kayaks are that type of people, very resilient, and it's sad to see. But I have to thank you again, Jonathan, because without you and you being there to capture that footage, that would have been lost. We would have never known the story that happened at that point in time. So I really thank you so much for doing this, and I like how you capture the story again, and you actually asking and trying to seek help for the folks in Carriacou. You really found that home. I think you really were accepted by the Grenadian population on the island. We really appreciate that, Jonathan.
Absolutely. And, because I'm an independent journalist, I don't have to answer to anybody. I'm a human being. That's what
Yes.
I am first. I'm not a journalist first. I'm a human being first. So anything I can do to help people in the moment, like, share our Starlink, which is the only window to the outside world. People, dozens of people around the island were able to contact family members for the first time after the storm because we said, hey, get on this Starlink while we were going around the island documenting the damage yesterday. Get on the Starlink, get on the Starlink. And they were able to make that first contact. I had so many messages, hundreds and hundreds of messages, people asking me about friends, family, loved ones. And of course, I'm only one person. We have two people on the island, Brandon, Clement, and myself. We can't get around to everybody, but we tried our best to show as much as we possibly could, talk to as many people, let as many people share, their texts, their phone calls to their loved ones. It was to the point where we were yesterday afternoon. The reason why I'm here in Grenada and not still in Carriacou, we ran completely out of data, and we had no opportunity to even renew the data on the Starlink. So at that point, there was nothing we could do. Fortunately, we do have around 10 donated Starlink items. We've been working with the company, Elon Musk's company, to send them to the island. So hopefully everyone just stay positive. You're going to be able to hear from your loved ones very soon. It's coming. The aid is getting to them very soon. Don't worry, your family is okay. They're miserable. It's very hot. It's very uncomfortable. I would say 75% or 80% of the island is homeless at this point. That's realistic. But they're all still coming together. They're all staying positive. They're still smiling. Thankfully, the aid is going to be getting there soon. So just be a little patient. You're going to be able to hear from your folks and your loved ones very soon.
Well, listen, I think you went on a journalistic mission, but you found a home in Carriacou. And we appreciate you, and especially with the Starlink. I was able to get connection with some folks there as well because of your connection, and we appreciate the fact that you're sending more Starlink connections there on the island. Jonathan, thank you so much. We appreciate you. Any last word you want to give out to the folks that's watching, the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique that's watching?
Unfortunately, guys, sometimes surviving the storm itself is the easiest part. The hardest part is the aftermath. And so just please support each other. Try and stay positive and know that there is an end. Just take it like eating an elephant, one bite at a time. Don't try to get everything accomplished in one day. Just do it day by day, and eventually everything will be fixed. It'll be back to normal. And I look forward to coming back when everything's beautiful again, and so I can actually enjoy the paradise for more than just a couple of hours before something bad happens. Because I love the people. It is an incredible experience, and I really look forward to seeing my friends again.
Where are you off to now, Jonathan?
We are going back to the United States so we can make it to Mexico because Hurricane Beryl, unfortunately, is making a destructive path across the Caribbean, and it's going actually to friends I have in Mexico. So we're going to be going to the Yucatan and Cancun and in that area for the landfall in Mexico on Thursday night into Friday.
Interesting job. Jonathan, keep doing your thing. Stay safe, my brother. We'll keep in touch.
Thank you. Thank you
so much. Again, that was Jonathan Pachamala, and because of his content, he was able to put together this amazing footage that told the story of the Hurricane Beryl impact on Carriacou. We thank Jonathan and chasing, the drone shots that you were seeing, that you saw over the past days was because of these men who are actually journalists and travel around. That's what they do for a living. And again, thanks for the connection with the Starlink technology, which is a satellite internet technology, Elon Musk. And I think more investment needs to be made into this type of technology because although Carriacou don't have any power, don't have any internet at this point in time, with a Starlink connection, it doesn't need a cell tower. It basically get that internet connection from satellite. And I'm happy as well that Jonathan is working to promote for folks in the world, the wider world, to donate to Carriacou because it's going to take a lot of years to come back to any sort of normalcy on the island. Thank you again to Jonathan for doing a great job, and we're going to continue to connect with the brother. I said he left on a mission to be a journalist, but I think he found a home in Grenada.